Boom! New watch alert. I found on retail the Timex Expedition North in titanium. I was looking for an advanced high-tech field watch as a replacement for my Hamilton khaki field, knowing that Timex offers tremendous value when they ask for an exotic amount of money. The North Expedition is pretty much a novelty from the brand and pretty rare, because it's made in limited quantities, so very hard to find according to the overpriced offerings on eBay, where it's sold with at least double the price. Everyone recommended this watch and they said, Andre, you should see and review the Timex Expedition North. So I found it somewhere on timex.co.uk, I sent it to a friend, he sent it back, and here we go. 400 euros later, we have the Timex Expedition North. Yes, 400 euros. So the question is the Timex brand or the North Adventure a watch worth 400 euros? Knowing that it ended up in the same price range with the Hamilton khaki field mechanical. Well, let's find out, as every time we see a top of solid field watches, both the Timex Expedition and the Hamilton khaki mechanical are included in this selection. We enter in the domain of field watches, or the adventurous watches, which are my kind. This domain is pretty vast. We are not only considering the field watches as strictly military watches with solid specs, we are including here the mountaineering watches as well, including here brands like Smiths or Rolex. As profile, the field watches were purposed to be solid timekeepers with reduced dimensions, made in massive amounts within a budget, offering a minimum viable product for military purposes. These were specifically tailored with welded lugs to be worn on band straps, NATOs or leather. These type of watches were mainly an evolution of the trench watches of the World War I, which were adapted and optimized to be served as tool watches for soldiers in World War II. This is an area where Hamilton has a lot of experience and heritage. We will see. This Titanium North is a superior expedition model, there is no doubt about it. The brand offering here titanium, an automatic movement and powerful specs. I feel they wanted to be contenders with the upper class field watches, starting with this Hamilton mechanical field. The Timex Expedition feels to be on the market for ages. In reality, it was launched for the first time in 1997. Since then, the series was made in multiple sizes, iterations and movements, from digital quartz to analog mechanical. All of them robust watches with good specs. And looking at the price of this North model, Timex seemed to close the gap between them and Hamilton. Of course, the Expedition had a good base of knowledgeable creations from their past, so they made, on paper, the best Expedition ever made. On paper. Because once, with the addition of the Miyota automatic movement, the attributes changed. The case becomes taller and wider, which basically changes the purpose of the watch, as a slim, comfortable and under-the-radar field watch. Don't get me wrong, what they did is not bad, it's just different than what we've imagined to be a Timex Expedition model. The super lightweight titanium case received crown guards, with the aim to protect the yellow decorated crown. A bit unbalanced, I find the case with these crown guards. It feels like everything leans towards the right side. But I like how the case arches towards the exterior, similar to the Omega Seamaster line. And I love overall the feeling of the darker titanium. It feels lightweight and friendly. It does not feel cold like a metal, but more like an eco-friendly alloy. The case is fully matted, but not brushed, not blasted. It's matted without any patterns or signs of machining. The case is complemented by an Eco Dry Tan leather strap that uses water-saving technology. It's super comfortable and it's equipped with a beautiful designed titanium buckle. The specs are very good. The titanium case measures 41mm in diameter with 50mm as lug-to-lug, has 12.5mm in height, so a bit too tall in my opinion, and 20mm between the lugs. It features a flat sapphire crystal, has 200 meters water resistance, so diverse capability thanks to the screw-down crown, and weighs 53 grams without the strap. It's super lightweight. When we flip the watch, we meet the beautiful decorated case back with a see-through window. Inside we have the automatic Miyota 8215, which features hacking, 42 hours power reserve and 28,600 vibrations per hour. The X factor here I consider it to be the shock resistance label. That's a new thing that feels to bring value to the product. Now the rotor of the watch is pretty annoying because it has a similar behavior as a Valjoux chronograph movement, and it spins at every wrist movement and creates noise and vibrations into the wrist. It's fun, but at some point it becomes very annoying. If you spin the watch a few times, you might say, done, it's fully charged. But in reality, despite the accelerated spin spinning rhythm, the watch is not charging effectively. The dial, one of the highlights of the watch, is interesting and well decorated. The brand added lume on every element present on the dial, even on the North Venture logo at 12 o'clock. The dial surface has a grainy pattern. It feels like a plastic surface, which changes its appearance in the sun, where it feels better and more refined. They basically added a plastic dial surface with the printed numerals and elements, which are painted with lume. So this can be a thing of love or hate. Initially I was disappointed by the surface, but now I got used to it and I accept it. The lume proposed by Timex in general is very good. The incandescence when charged is pretty bright, but it fades pretty fast, and the hands remaining the main lumed accent for hours. Above we have a flat sapphire crystal, which sits with 1 mm above the bezel ring, and as a result that tiny edge captures reflections from the markers. And in some angles it feels like the crystal is not properly glued or has some faults, which attracts the attention pretty often, but in reality there is nothing wrong with the crystal. On the wrist the watch wears super lightweight, so a contradiction between the weight and the volume on the wrist perceived. It is pretty wide due to the crown guard and pretty tall, a bit offset from the field watch characteristics. But if you perceive it as an adventurous watch, a shockproof tool with a higher wall resistance, this seems to be a solid companion. You will love it because the watch has presence on the wrist, being in the same time pretty stealthy. On the other shore, the Hamilton has a lot of experience in military, with field watches starting from World War II. From 1942 precisely, where the brand stopped the commercial production, providing over 1 million timekeepers for the army. So this field watch is an evolution of the trench classic watches of World War I, as I mentioned earlier. Today, the khaki field mechanical is the most accurate representation of the iconic field watches of World War II. With the reduced size of 38mm, a fully blasted case, a thin profile below 10mm, and a robust mechanical movement inside. As I mentioned, we can call it as the perfect representation of a field watch and a wristwatch that will sit in any top of the most popular field watches all time. In fact, the Hamilton khaki mechanical came up once again in trends once with the bronze edition, where thanks to Mr. Calaxion, who said, "I would wear this watch," apparently created a hype around the model. I was surprised by a discussion on a Facebook thread where people bought the Hamilton khaki bronze because Kevin O'Leary said, "I would wear this watch." And people consider that if it's good enough for Mr. Calaxion, it's good enough for them as well. And I was like... Back on topic, the Hamilton khaki is a great watch, provides good value for the money asked, it is tested, I'm not fooling around. It's a budget field watch and an entry for Hamilton brand, with a mechanical movement, 80 hours power reserve, lume indicators, lume on hands, on the second hand, super lightweight and neo-vintage. Comes with either a strap or a bracelet, and it's priced in the same range with the Timex North Expedition with taxes. As complete specs, the watch measures 38mm in diameter with 9.7mm in height, 47mm as lug-to-lug and 20mm between the lugs. The watch has 50m wall resistance, has a sapphire crystal and weighs 70 grams. Inside there is the H50 caliber based on the ETA 2801-2 movement with 80 hours power reserve and 28600 vibrations per hour. This Hamilton is super lightweight and super comfortable on the wrist. I like the tailoring of the Greenato with leather inserts, it provides more character to the watch. This watch works either on its NATO, on the standard bracelet, but also on leather straps. I think because of the dial with white patina accents, the watch can become a strap monster as well. The case is very cool, fully blasted with a beautiful grainy pattern and drill lugs, my favorites. The decorated crown is not screwed down, hence the 50m wall resistance, but I love the diameter of it. It is very grippy and easy to operate. I love the busy dial filled with markers and numerals. The fully matted dial with 1224 military numerals with a creamy patina accent. The markers are lumed as well as the hands and the second hand. Overall, I'd consider that the field mechanical is a complete package. A budget watch with solid specs with a correct price positioning. Now, there is a friction point. Despite the exotic materials used, I think the Timex North becomes way too expensive for a brand that used us with good value for extremely modest prices. And in this price range I would say that the Hamilton khaki field mechanical is a better watch than the Timex Expedition North, because solid specs, well sized, history behind. These are all attributes to be a brave beater on the channel, so I guess both Timex Expedition North and the Khaki Field will qualify as brave beaters. The Timex Expedition has a DNA of its own already. It is recognized as a true field watch and a great beater no matter the movement inside. So we will qualify the Timex North Expedition in the Hall of Fame on the position number 41. And the Hamilton Khaki, being a reference in field watches, will always be a reliable and an affordable beater to own in any context. And it will qualify on the position number 42 in the Hall of Fame. You can check the Hall of Fame of all brave beaters by selecting the brave beaters playlist from the channel. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm really curious to know which one do you prefer, the Khaki or the Expedition. Please let me know in the comments below. And as usual, if you're new around, please consider subscribing for future episodes. Thank you very much, thanks for watching, and until next time, be brave, but stay safe.